Reddit, what's your best funniest personal example of petty revenge? I once had a colleague I hated. He was very condescending and really arrogant. So I put an extra Bluetooth receiver in his computer for a computer mouse and kept the mouse in my drawer. I would just open my drawer and it would mess his crap right up. Kept it going for like 2 months. He was about to murder the world when I thought I better stop. Speeding up a co-worker's double-click speed and watch him squirm when his normal double-clicking speed isn't working. Somebody once changed the mouse pointer on my chef's computer to the loading animation. We scratched our heads for a while before figuring it out. I have to admit, it was hilarious watching his mild irritation every day. Kid stole my water bottle. I opened it up and left it inside his backpack. Back when I was studying engineering, it occurred to me to try and find an app on my iPhone for those Panasonic projectors in lecture rooms. So I get the app and it just let me connect to the one in the class without a password or anything. I have a friend who is one of those perpetual pranksters. You can't leave your PC or bag or food drink unattended when he's around. So I beam a picture of him onto the projector, so the lecturer is just talking away and this goofy picture of my mate is on the screen. Lecturer doesn't realize yet. People in the lecture start waking up and giggling a bit. Now I use the pen function and draw a penis on the picture too. Mate was red in the face and trying to hide. Lecturer finally noticed and says, "Michael, why is there a picture of you on the screen?" Finally, for a fleeting moment, I actually wrecked that sucker. What? That is absolutely hilarious that there's an app to do that so easily. Seems like a major risk. Posted this previously. My ex cheated with a married man. He now lives with her. He is a pose. But anyway, I still have login for her DVR. I logged in, erased all her shows, then recorded only the show Cheaters. Petty, but it makes me laugh. Just a little suggestion. Don't delete the whole episodes, just erase the last 5 minutes. My mom had a fantastic one. She was a language teacher at my high school, and years after I had graduated, she called me kind of upset because a group of guys was trying to make her look dumb. The class was supposed to write one of those team dialogues in Spanish, and had a week or so to prepare it, then had to perform it in front of the class. When she called for them to do theirs, they said, "But we already did ours. We're not doing it again," she said. "You definitely didn't do it. I don't have any record of it here and I would remember it if you had." They refused to do it, insisting they already performed it and that it was her fault she didn't take notes scores down. She was feeling puzzled and questioning herself when one of the good kids came and said, "They didn't do it. They were bragging about making you look stupid and threatened the whole class if they told you anything. But please don't tell them I told you this. I don't want any problems with them." These were those stereotypical dumb jock types who everyone was scared of for whatever reason. My mom was really into yoga at the time and got a great idea while meditating. She went in the next day and said, "Boys, I owe you an apology. I found my notes on your presentation and I do remember it. I don't know how I forgot." She went on to describe all the grammatical mistakes they made, that their dialogue hadn't been as long as required, that they didn't include the necessary vocabulary, etc. All made up. She failed them all on the project and they couldn't do a thing about it without admitting they'd made it all up. I was waiting for she told them it had been so good that they'd been selected to present it during a school assembly the next day, but this was better. When I was a kid I had a bedwetting problem. I am not ashamed of this now, as thousands of other kids have had the same problems. At the time, however, this was humiliating. My younger brother started telling other kids around school how extensive the issue was. I was mortified. Even after our mother told him to knock it off, he continued. So I decided to level the playing field. The whole hand and cup of warm water deal didn't work. I stood over him as he slept one night and peed on him. The next morning, my mom was horrified and wound up taking a call from my grandmother. "I don't know what to do. Now both of them are peeing the bed," she explained, clearly frustrated. After a few more times of framing my brother as a bedwetter, he completely stopped using my embarrassing problem as entertainment. This reminds me of South Park. Put his hand in a warm cup of water and then pee on him. A guy at work made me mad. I placed this Craigslist ad with his phone number. 2 free goats. Hablas Espinal. He spent the rest of the day getting calls every 15 minutes or so. Did this a few years ago, only it was a personal ad saying they were an African American BBW who just wanted to get my holes filled. I used their work direct line. In Texas, there is a law that allows the US to take certain possessions to satisfy a debt owed, such as from a lawsuit. So this defendant had been committing Medicare fraud, got caught, has to pay back the money. He's also a total prick during the lawsuit, obstructionist, rude, etc. When the US finally has its judgment and he's pleading poverty, the US attorney that ran the suit basically ends up walking through the impoverished guy's multi-million-dollar house to handpick what is going to be seized. He takes the big ticket items that he's allowed, but it's not going to be enough, so then he just starts taking little crap to tee the guy off. Book half read on the nightstand, gone. Can't take the garage, but you can take the garage door opener, so, gone. I don't know what else he took, but I think the idea is brilliant. The book would annoy me so much. Back in college, I was sitting in the library trying to work on an assignment. All was quiet for a while until this one obnoxious guy came in and sat at a table near me and proceeded to pull out his phone and have the loudest, most obnoxious conversation with one of his friends. Lots of bro, seriously bro and yada yada. I was about to pack up my things and find somewhere else to work when the conversation turned to Netflix. The guy told his friend he should just use his account, and proceeded to loudly state his email address and password for all to hear. This was too good of an opportunity for me to pass up, so I promptly logged in and navigated to the LGBT section and started adding the gayest movies I could find to the top of the queue. I like to think that both guys ended up thinking the other one added the movies to the queue but were too shocked to ever say anything to each other. Usually Netflix allows up to 3 screened streams at a time, so I would have been very tempted to keep 2 Netflix tabs open from his account on my PC at all times. Let them fight over the last connection. In 7th grade I used to take homemade lunch to school. We prepared our own salad dressing, lemon juice, salt, oil, etc. And one kid decided it would be good to steal it and drink it before lunchtime. I asked him not to, but he continued to drink it, but started doing so in one gulp, so I couldn't stop him. So instead of making a huge deal, I prepared 2 salad dressings. One that I would actually use on my salad, and another that had all the liquid condiments I could find in my mom's kitchen. It was really fun to see his face as he drank it. He never stole my salad dressing again. Had a chief warrant officer in Iraq throw a bottle of petroleum jelly at me after I got done ranting about something I've long since forgotten. Told me to go take care of it and come back when I feel better. During his afternoon siesta I spent an hour covering everything on his desk with it in the most inconspicuous spots. For example, inside the handle of a coffee mug, underneath the handle of the Keurig pod loader, behind the canister holding Keurig coffee pods, anywhere he could grab something and not see it without first inspecting it. He came back and proceeded to curse at a rate never witnessed before, as he had to continuously wipe all the jelly off his hands every 3 minutes. He caught the jelly on the inside rims of his over-the-ear headphones before he rimmed his ears with it. But the best came after I let him calm down and get back to work. Everyone else in the office watched me do it. No one said a thing, but they all had their eyes on me as I waited 5 minutes before picking up my phone on my desk and slowly dialed the number at his desk. It rings. Everyone turns to look at him. He's on the computer, picks up the phone, slaps it to his ear. Radio Battalion Simasinovich turns his head. Ear was caked full of petroleum jelly I had dumped all over the earpiece of the phone. Master Guns and Major told me these antics and pranks made that deployment. CW Orion, if you're reading this, sorry, not sorry. This happened a while back. Study hall in 8th grade actually. I always brought 2 small sandwiches to school so I could have one at lunch and one in study hall since our teacher let us eat in that class. One day as I was about to eat my sandwich, I get up to use the bathroom. As I walk back in the classroom, I see the kid in front of me eating my sandwich. I was pretty annoyed but nothing serious at this point, so I confront him politely and he denies it completely. I left my sandwich on my desk the next day just to make sure it was him, and what do you know, it is. So on the 3rd day, I hatched a plan. I put habanero cheese on my sandwich, and then doused it all in ghost pepper sauce. That crap was everywhere, but it luckily didn't smell spicy. I get to study hall and my plan works flawlessly. I leave my trap sandwich on my desk and get up to use the restroom. This time I take as long as I can and end up wandering the halls of the school. I did this because my study hall teacher was anal about the hall pass and only one guy was allowed to leave the class at a time, even for water. After about 10 minutes I come back into the class to be greeted by the sandwich thief crying hysterically with a bright red face waiting for the hall pass. He was in the bathroom for the rest of the day. As a spicy food lover, I highly approve of this revenge. My favorite childhood story. So I was an AP kid and had a bunch of AP friends and also was in sports and theater. I had a large bunch of friends in nearly every cliche. Anyway, one day, one of my friends gets sucker punched in the halls by some dickwad. Because of the school's zero tolerance policy, getting sucker punched carries the same punishment as sucker punching. So my friend and the dickwad both got in school suspension, but only one of them was punched on the face. I thought that was a lit bit unfair, so I got my friends together, and they got their friends together, and every week, one of us would sucker punch dickwad. Every week, one of us would have ice, and so would dickwad, but since we are many, none of us went to ice twice. Dickwad on the other hand missed so much class that he had to retake the grade. This is so savage. I'm glad I scrolled this far down. I was casually walking my pup in the same area I usually do. It's a nice trail surrounding a wetlands reserve and there's generally a lot of dog walkers and people riding bikes. The schools around here just let out for the day and there was a group of 3 boys riding their bikes coming from behind me. I could hear their muffled talking and giggling and all of a sudden they were a few feet behind me and one of them yelled, "Hey, catch," and threw some crumbled paper at me. I couldn't care less about the paper but the yelling scared my lil pup so I was naturally angry but being awkward I didn't say anything. What am I going to do? Beat up some kids? I did have my pup's steamy tater tots in a bag and as they rode off I lightly tossed it. By God it lands in one of the kids' hoodies. And he didn't notice. They were too busy cackling away at how they got him. I saw them riding ahead and it took maybe 100 yards before he noticed there were some little round brown dumplings in his hood. He screamed and threw the bag onto the ground while the other 2 died laughing. They looked back at me but I was so far behind them that they just rode onward. I also couldn't help myself and laughed as I picked up the poo and threw it out a few minutes later. You know, got to be a good citizen and all that. Guys swerved across 2 lanes on the highway one day and cut me off. I slammed on the anchors and gave a good indignant blow of my horn. He starts acting like Mr. Angry at being called out so starts slamming on his brakes, then speeding up if I try to overtake, flipping me the bird, the whole caboodle. Seeing the next junction coming up I flash my lights and start beckoning to him in classic "you want a piece of me" mime, and mouthing "come on then start pointing at the upcoming junction. He obviously believes I actually want to go somewhere quiet and sort it out like buttholes men. I swerve angrily into the exit lane and he follows suit. Finally I blow my horn and point at something on the junction then, whilst he's distracted, swerve back out onto the main highway and speed up so I'm level with him so he can't get back over. He looks over in panic. I smile and blow him a kiss. The junction ends and he's stuck sailing off wherever the junction takes him. It's a 24-mile round trip to get back to here. You have been spotted by the money pigeon. Comment "gimme gimme" and he will bless you with good fortune. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.